Hey everyone, it's Hirsch Wilson, and today is January 29th, 2022. This is the next in our series, Living the Life, about being a volunteer firefighter and the lessons learned. This specific video is for anybody who has ever felt invisible, walking through an airport terminal or in a supermarket. Because what I've learned is that everybody has a story, and that's what this video is about. You learn this quickly, sitting in the back of an ambulance with a patient, or just going into people's homes as an EMT in the fire department. You discover that there's a lot of pain, there's a lot of suffering, and there's also just fascinating stories. Once, about 20 years ago, we transported an 80-year-old male to St. Vincent's, our local hospital, for chest pains. So I was sitting in the back of an ambulance. It's a long transport. We started off a conversation. He told me he had been General George Patton's Jeep driver during the Second World War. I asked him, well, what was Patton really like? And he said to me, that's top secret. I'm sworn to secrecy. On another call, we responded to a possible fractured hip. We drove up the driveway and were directed to a small shed below the house. We got there and there was an approximately 85-year-old woman lying on a concrete floor, wrapped in blankets, with her family standing around, pretty concerned. So we went up to the patient and I asked, what hurts? And she said, grimacing, her hip. And then I said, well, what happened? And she said, she looked at me, she looked at her family and said, I fell through the roof. And we all looked up and yep, there was a hole in the tin roof. Her son, exasperated, said, Mom, what were you doing on the roof? And she said, I was chasing our peacock across the roof. We all looked at each other and then we began to treat her, packaged her and got her ready to go to the hospital. Later, 2 firefighters found the peacock and brought it back to the house. Everybody has a story. Finally, we responded once to a domestic assault. As we rolled up on scene, a police officer came and told us our patient was an 18-year-old female who had been attacked by her boyfriend with a steel pipe. As we loaded her in the ambulance and she was conscious and alert, did not look badly hurt, the boyfriend was being led away in handcuffs to a police car. So we got her in and we took her history. And she told me she had been a heroin addict, she had been in jail, she had been kicked out of her parents' home in Ohio, but she had cleaned up. She had stopped using heroin, she had gotten a job, she was going to school, and she had rented a house. And her last act was kicking out her abusive boyfriend. As we drove in, she started musing about her history. And she told us that the police had been to her house multiple times for assault. But then she said it was usually her who was doing the assaulting. It was usually her that was trying to beat up her boyfriend. And she said she had this disease, this condition called intermittent explosive disorder, which meant that just out of the blue, she would just attack whoever she was next to. So as we drove in, I looked at my partner, David, and he discreetly removed the scalpel that was taped to the ambulance cabinet door just to be safe. Everybody has a story. There's drama, there's heroism, sometimes writ small, sometimes writ large in everybody's life. One of the benefits of being a first responder is that you get immersed in all this. You see true heroism. You see terror. You see people stripped of their titles and their positions, and they're standing in front of you just as human beings who need help. Of course, it's a choice. How we decide to see the people in our lives is a choice we make. We can either see them as simply background players in the drama of our life, or we can see them as heroes, as storytellers, who, if we see and listen to, can enrich our lives. So be brave, be kind, and fight fires.